Sea of Thieves 2 is a really common thought that comes up in any discussion when talking about the future of the game. After all, it's a very interesting possibility, and it might actually be the smartest thing to do with Sea of Thieves. But could and will Sea of Thieves 2 actually happen? And if so, what could it look like? Will Rare ever actually take the decision to do this, and what challenges may it face? Currently, in the state of Sea of Thieves, there is one big issue surrounding one word: potential. Currently, the developers are limited by 10-year-old console technology. The question they always have to ask when developing a new feature isn't, can Unreal Engine handle it? It's, do the old Xboxes have the processing power to handle said new features? Linking into this problem, it's a constant struggle to find more RAM within the consoles as well. The reason behind some tiny quality of life updates being so incredibly big is that they have to, on an ongoing basis, redevelop the game to make it more RAM efficient, because when they were originally developing the game, well, they weren't that smart with their RAM. This massive problem for the game is the main reason why we can't have new regions. This isn't because the Xboxes can't handle new regions, it's because they can't handle bigger server sizes, which is necessary. They'd have to expand them to ever add anything like this, because in the current game state, if they add a new region, it would just make PvP so much harder. So the first thing to establish when talking about Sea of Thieves 2 is that it would be an Xbox Series X/S and PC exclusive. Maybe pushing it to the Xbox One X's, but that's a stretch. The sheer processing power they would unlock from this would be enormous, allowing them to completely reboot the title. And if you're wondering, the decision does not lie with them to retire it on the old consoles, that's Microsoft's. And in my personal opinion, Microsoft will not do that anytime soon, because, reality check, the Xbox Series X's are still relatively uncommon, and that means a lot of players are still on the old Xboxes. And guess what that equals? More Pirate Emporium sales, which equals to more money for Microsoft. The unfortunate truth is that Rare and Xbox are businesses. They exist to make money. Of course, the other factor to remember is that if a lot of their player base is on an old console, then they won't want to kill that off. So it's hard to currently imagine them discontinuing the old Xboxes for Sea of Thieves in particular. However, if they did, we can speculate on what Sea of Thieves 2 might look like. Before we go any further, I just wanted to mention I've recently enabled memberships for the channel, so if you really want to help and support the channel and earn some cool rewards like loyalty badges, custom emojis, behind the scenes updates and lots more starting at just a small fee a month, hit that join link in the description / pinned comment below, or hit the join button down on my channel page, which will also give you some additional information. On with the video. For me personally, I can see Sea of Thieves 2 having some very key characteristics at launch. Multiple new regions, increased server capacity to a reasonable amount, a new big campaign in the form of Tall Tales, a couple new trading companies, world story developments, a new mainland in the form of a port town, and more importantly, many more ways to play and progress to get loot throughout the world. And of course, a brand new ship type. Now all of that can be scaled down or up, because that would be an incredible amount to release at once, so obviously, a lot of that would be cut. But even with all of that, you might say it still seems like the same game, which is true. When we talk about Sea of Thieves 2, we don't necessarily mean a brand new IP. I'm more thinking a reboot in a sense, or a massive update. For example, Sea of Thieves' 5th anniversary could be like an Overwatch 2 kind of deal, with all of the content I just mentioned, where it's still the same game, but it's a massive update branded as a sequel / a new era to the game, keeping the base game and everything with it, but just completely overhauling everything. Next year it will indeed turn 5, and because of the sheer age of the game, I personally think they'll need a new massive update, like previously mentioned, to get it back in the spotlight. The thing with Sea of Thieves is it's growing, sure, but slowly and steadily. It needs something to kick it into the spotlight. I mean, not that it already isn't. To be fair to Rare, the game is relatively well known, But I mean something to really get it out there. They need a humongous publicity stunt as seen with A Pirate's Life. The thing with A Pirate's Life, however, was that everyone loved it, played it, whatever, brilliant update, but it didn't keep many around for long. They did the Pirates of the Caribbean content and then they just kinda left. However, a massive reboot that delivers on long-awaited mechanics and almost makes it feel more piratey, rebranded as a next-gen game, would bring a load more people back to the game that have previously never tried it. Of course, a big thing to take into consideration when talking about a proposed sequel or hybrid reboot into a next-gen game is the sheer development time. Something like this, I cannot begin to imagine how long it would take to develop. However, if they had most of their teams devoted to this new game with no hitches, I think we could start to see something after a year to 2 years, which I wouldn't mind waiting. If they started a partial development 6 months in before a content drought, then the drought starts to kick in those following 6 months, then the drought is in full swing the 6 months after that, and then after that we get to see teasers, controlled leaks, etc. in those final 6 months. Or a further content drought and then a surprise trailer at E3, I don't know. I don't think it would be all that bad in general if they did something like that. Sure, the player base would take a massive hit, but for the attention it would create and the stir in the market, and just the sheer position that it would put the game in, it would be absolutely worth it. I think it's important for all games to always have a super secret project planned, because in the case of Sea of Thieves, right now it's a steady game. A game getting steady updates that will live the rest of its lifespan quite peacefully, which isn't good depending on what the developer's goals are for the game. The sad truth is that they may well want Everworld to become their new #1 IP when it releases, although personally I don't think so. I won't go into too much detail into the whole super secret project thing, as I've already covered that practically in another video. I think the main thing about a form of Sea of Thieves 2 is it provides the playground to develop all the features that never made it, or are always in the back of the developers' minds. The things that are in the art book, the prototype features, whatever it may be, a form of Sea of Thieves 2 would host an update which they can deliver on a bunch of new content. In an interview, the devs always say that they never have an issue on thinking of what content and they have an issue picking which to develop. Going a bit off topic now, I think it's a well-known fact that Sea of Thieves' seasonal format doesn't really work well. I don't think any game should have to stick to a constant expected stream of updates. They should release an update when they see fit, when the content's ready, when they want. It creates an element of mystery surrounding when the next update would be and what it might contain. Like Year 1 with Sea of Thieves is a prime example. We didn't know when the updates were going to be, what they were going to be, so I think they need to bring that back. In my opinion, it's better to have spaced out massive updates than small regular ones, but anyways, I'd love to see that implemented as a possible reboot of the game. Overall, I personally think Sea of Thieves 2 would be a really smart move for the game, with the content it could add and the possibilities it could unlock, along with the spotlight it would put on the game. It's often referred to as one of, if not the, crown jewel of Microsoft, and Sea of Thieves 2 would essentially be like polishing that jewel. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on all this down in the comments below, as I'm actually really interested in your thoughts. But anyways, that does bring us to the end of the video, so if you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like, it helps out an absolute ton, and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest Sea of Thieves news as and when it comes out. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can hit that join button down in the description below to become a channel member and earn those awesome perks talked about earlier in the video. But anyways, apart from that, thanks for watching and I'll see you later.